The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty.
How about them Georgia Bulldogs? Tonight on Air with 912 Sports, we take a look at our first broadcast of Golden Isles basketball. We talk about the big game coming up between Brunswick and Statesboro, our second broadcast on Golden Isles basketball. We'll take a look back at the game that was Monday night as the Georgia Bulldogs win the national championship with a lot of local talent right here out of the 912. And we'll hear from Stetson Bennett's former high school football coach. All that and more right here on Air with 912 Sports. Thanks for watching.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Spoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, Sean, good. Obviously, I guess people can tell we're over here at Brunswick High School. Pretty big week on this campus coming up with basketball on Friday night, and we're going to talk about wrestling. They had a big weekend last week as well as just some other area schools, so we're going to dive right into 912 Sports around the area.
Yeah, man, it's great to be on location here. Appreciate Brunswick High and Coach Pender and Coach Grady and everybody letting us come in here and do this. But Kevin, let's go back to last Saturday night. We were across town over at Glen Academy, had our first broadcast of Golden Isles basketball. I thought you did a great job. You did a great job on calling the game. Glen come away with two victories, the girls and boys game. But for our first broadcast, I couldn't have been more pleased with the way everything went off, and got to see some really good basketball as well.
We did. I mean, we kind of joked about it as we were getting set up in the gym. Got the computer up and running, got our Wi-Fi hotspot up and running, and really it was too smooth. It concerned us both.
Yeah.
And we were like, it's all downhill from there, particularly the play-by-play. But no, I thought it was a good night. I mean, the broadcast overall, like I say, we got on the air. We were able to do both games, from start to finish, and saw some really good basketball, particularly by the Glen Academy teams. The girls really came out and took charge of a game against Wayne County that they led from start to finish and dominated with their defense. And those two teams had played a close game in Jessup earlier in the season. and Glen Academy ended up winning this one 57-28, just turnover after turnover. Wayne did not handle their press, and we saw a good individual performance by Paris Smith. She was our Martin Funeral Home player of the game. I think she had, I think it was 19 points, or might be confusing her.
Yeah, I think she had 22 points. We weren't real sure on the total of the rebounds, but we know she had a double-double.
Double digits, and then also several steals, which of course were turnovers for Wayne County as well. So she did a great job. And then in the boys' game, the Terriers led from start to finish in that one too, led by double digits a good bit of the time. I think maybe their largest lead was 14, 16, something like that. But to Wayne County's credit, they hung in there, stayed around. Glenn went a little cold offensively, had some turnovers themselves, and Wayne chipped their way back in it. And of course, it ended up being a 57-56 thriller at the end. But Glenn playing good basketball, Wayne with a decent team. So it's going to be interesting to see where both of those teams go from here. And we saw Tyson Brooks with a great individual performance. He had 25 points the night before in a loss to Statesboro, but he comes back. That's where he had the 19. But he had double-digit figures as well, rebounding. He played well on the offensive and defensive end.
Yeah, and like you said, the girls' game really came down to turnovers and the press. Wayne could not handle Glenn's press, and really, I think the boys' game came down to both of those bigs getting in foul trouble. We had Rooks and Prince both with 4 fouls with, I think, almost 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Coach had to do some sitting and some playing, and really tried to keep one big in at all times. But it seemed like when Rooks was out there, they were going man. Whenever Prince was out there, they were falling back into that zone. But it worked for Coach because he got them to the end. Neither one of those guys fouled out, and that's pretty hard for a big man with 4 fouls and that long to play in a game. So credit to both of those guys to being able to stay in the game, and for Glenn getting that 1-point victory, because like I said, they needed every minute and every point that they got from both of those players.
Yeah, Glenn did a really good job of handling that foul trouble, like you say, with Tyson Rooks and David Prince both in the starting lineup. They started the game in a man. Prince got in foul trouble late in the first half. I think he went to the bench with his 3rd personal foul. Right. Glenn brings in Shane Payne, who, by the way, gave them a lot of great minutes in that game in both halves, and they ended up going to a zone then, and we were curious if they would bring back Prince and start man-to-man or stay in the zone to start the second half. They did go ahead and bring Prince back, so they went right back to the man-to-man. He ended up picking up his 4th foul and went to the bench again, but then Tyson Rooks ended up getting 4 fouls. But at that point, Coach Terrence Haywood made the decision that he's coming back with Prince to keep one of his big men in, and he then tried to protect Rooks, and it worked out. At the end of the game, they were able to have both Rooks and Prince on the floor, and to have both bigs there at the end to help them close it out.
Right, so great first broadcast there for Golden Isles basketball. Got another big one coming up right here. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on. But Kevin, another big thing that happened in the area that's going on right now. Just got regions out of the way. Now we're getting ready for state duels and wrestling. Both Camden County went on the road to Colquitt and came away with a region championship. Ware County, for the 6th year in a row, hosted this past Saturday, came away with a region championship. And of course, right here on this floor, Brunswick hosted and came away with a region championship this past Saturday.
Well, actually, that wasn't Richmond Hill.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I was just referencing that Brunswick High had a big weekend on the wrestling mat. But you're right. And Sean, one thing I want to touch on as we talk about this, and I think I'll start with that Region 2-6A, because I think it shows the strength of wrestling here in South Georgia. Maybe at a time we might have been behind some of the Atlanta area schools, and look, some of those schools are still very good. But we have a lot of wrestling programs here in the state of Georgia that are alive and well. We've got good coaching in this area. Some kids are even specializing in wrestling, which I'm not sure was the point, say 5 or 10 years ago. But you do see some names that play other sports, particularly football. Brunswick's got that. But the cool thing about wrestling, Sean, and we can talk about that, is the little guys mean just as much as the big guys.
Especially when you're talking about duels.
Right, and it's really exciting. But talking about Region 2-6A, though, Brunswick ranked 3rd in the state. Richmond Hill was ranked 4th. We know they've been good for a long time. But also South Effingham ranked 6th. Those times a lot of Brunswick said this is the toughest region in 6A, and maybe it is with 3 ranked teams. Brunswick ended up beating South Effingham, which pulled off a mild upset, I guess, if you will, Richmond Hill 27-26 in the semis to earn the matchup with Brunswick. But that region right there, I think, shows that wrestling is alive and well. And of course, Camden has been dominant on the state level for a long time. But Yeah, I think in 2A, Vidalia won. In 3A, I think Brantley won. In 1A, Charlton won. So again, a lot of good wrestling programs right here in South Georgia. Interesting to see what they do at the state level as we go forward.
Right, and it's like we talk about in football, Kevin. A lot of these things are not just, they're not teams, they're programs. Camden is a perfect example. Ware County is a perfect example. 6 years in a row now they've won region. They send guys to state and individuals. They go to state and duels every year. So these are processes. Coach Eichfeld and Coach, help me with the coach's name at Camden. That's right on the tip of my head.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, he's been there forever, and he's he's done a great job, and that is a program. That is kind of like the gold standard, in 7A wrestling. So, Brunswick is fastly becoming that. This is the second year in a row they've won region. So, coach is doing a really good job of bringing those guys up to speed and getting them where they are a program and not just a sport.
Right, and of course, Glen Academy also with a new coach this year. Of course, Jackson Wakeland was the state traditional champion at his weight class last year for Glen, and Glen is also going to be in state as one of the top 4 teams out of that region. But you're right, Camden is dominant, like we said, on the state. Brunswick and Richmond Hill have been up there battling in the state as well. Brunswick may have a chance to win the state championship, but with Richmond Hill being 4th and South Effingham being 6th in the rankings, if the rankings are right, they got a good shot at it too. And we're seeing some of our smaller classification schools rise up and really take wrestling serious, and it's good to see. And like I said, Sean, you can add to this if you want, but wrestling's interesting in that you have the duels. It is team.
Right.
Every weight class counts towards your team's record in individual matches, and then they'll have state duels coming up. Then they'll get into the traditional wrestling. Traditional because it's kind of individual based. Even though a team can still win a region championship and a state championship, it's all based on points. So like in state, the more qualifiers that you have going to state, the better chance, of course, you have for that state team title in traditional wrestling. But again, the one caveat is the small guys, the 106 pounders, the 113 class guys. If you've never seen wrestling, it's exciting. I know everybody kind of waits for the heavyweights, but those guys really get after it. They're scrappy, they're agile, they're fast, and some of the positions they get themselves in, I feel like I would just fall apart. I can't even get in that position, but if I did, I would crumble. And it's really fun to see those little guys go at it too. Like I said, they're scrappy.
You're exactly right, and that's how you win duels.
You're right.
You have guys that can wrestle, and they're good in each wrestling class. But it's like you said, it's a total of what it is. I mean, you may have the best guy in the state at, let's just call it 152, and that's great, and he'll do great when he goes to traditionals. But you've got to have guys in every one of those classes if you want to be effective in the duels, and that's exactly what we're in right now. We'll transfer, I think, probably about the middle of February or beginning of February over to the traditional stuff. But right now, everything is duels. You got the dual state title coming, right down the road here. But Kevin, as we move on from wrestling, we get into baseball. It's hard to believe that we're about 30 days away from our first pitch of the 2022 season. Some rankings came out, and I believe we've got some stuff to go over there and let people know. I believe this is called Coach's Box, where these rankings come from. Basically, they did an in-depth review of all the teams and all the classifications and give everybody their 1 through 10. And of course, the 912 is loaded with ranked teams again.
Yeah, and if you want me to, I can go down the list.
Sure, let's just run through them real quick.
Right, of course, Camden County really only our only 7A school we cover on a regular basis. Now, the Coach's Box, what they're doing is releasing a state poll, state rankings in each classification per day. So they're going from the smallest classification, I think, working their way up the scale. So today they actually released the 6A poll, so the 7A poll not out yet. We'll see if Camden County were to appear in that. But in 6A, South Effingham is ranked 5th in the preseason. Richmond Hill 6th, and right away you look at maybe a glaring omission in that poll. Even though we're here on the Brunswick campus, and I think they could be much improved this year. Glen Academy went to the Elite 8 last year. We were there to watch it with Golden Isles baseball, and they're not in the state rankings. Now, I know they lost some good seniors, but and they lost Coach Majero, but I think they've got a good staff. Coach Wellman coming back leading the way now. Also, still some good pitching, still some good defense, still some good hitters on the team. So Glenn might arrive at the ballpark for their first game with a chip on their shoulder.
Exactly, a little motivation there for Glenn with them being left off of that poll. And there's several different polls out there. This is just one that that is out now that we refer to.
Right, and of course, we will cover Glenn and Brunswick on Golden Isles baseball again this season on 912sports.net. Sean, you're certainly going to be following 5A a lot because Ware County's in that region. You do Ware County baseball, but it could be an exciting region race for those guys as well. Ware, of course, coming off that great run to the Final Four last year, ranked 7th. Wayne County at perennial power from Southeast Georgia, 8th, and Coffee 10th. Now in 4A, we don't really have any teams that we cover on a regular basis. The Benedictine is 3rd. 3A though, Sean, Appling County 3rd, Pierce County 5th. We both know both of those teams have been strong here in the recent past. And in 2A, Jeff Davis, the defending state champion, number 1. Vidalia, number 2. Fitzgerald, by the way, is 10. And then down in Single A, Metter is number 1 there, Southeast Georgia, but Charlton County number 4. And the cool thing about baseball, Sean, some of these ranked teams are going to be playing each other. You're going to see Glenn and Brunswick, I think, both on Ware's schedule. I do believe Brunswick plays Charlton for 1. I know Brunswick plays, I think, Savannah Christian. They're not a team we cover on a regular basis, but they're ranked as well. Some ranked teams also will be coming to the Baseball at the Beach tournament, where that's early in the season, first week of the season, that Glenn and Brunswick both host. So some ranked teams from Metro Atlanta will be coming down here as well. So again, we had a great run in the playoffs last year in Southeast Georgia, and I remember writing a story about it, but I don't remember the exact number. But was it 18 or 12 teams, something like that, into the Elite Eight that we had last year?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was like 8 teams. It was at least 8. It might have been more than that. I have to go back and look. But you were loaded in AA, AAA. Both Pearson, and Appling was in there. Brantley was on the outside looking in. But then again, you go back to these rankings here in Region 2-5A. You've got Ware, Wayne, and Coffee, all 3 in the top 10, all 3 in the same region, and that's going to be a battle. Possibly the best player in our area, Luke Boykin, plays for Wayne County. So I mean, here's a guy that I believe, Kevin, and I think I'm right here, 16 home runs last year. Those are unheard of numbers from our numbers. So, but this kid can play. He's already committed to go to the University of Georgia and play baseball. He may be a Byron Buxton type guy. He may never see the University of Georgia because there may be enough clamor and enough clout for some major league teams to come throw some money his way, and then he's going to have a decision. Kind of dealt with that a little bit with Brandon Jernigan. He opted to go to Georgia here a few years ago from Glenn Academy. I think Luke's going to be put in that same position. He's going to have to make some decisions because I believe there's going to be some teams that are going to come, offer him a contract and sign on the dotted line, and then he'll have to decide, is the money strong enough? Is riding that bus to these, these AA and these single A affiliate teams, is that worth it, or does he want to go have that college experience and play, college baseball for 3 years? Because I believe if you go to a Division I school, you got to stay for 3 years before you can make that jump to the pros or jump to the majors. So I do believe you can sign and go to JUCOs, and you can go after 2. And a lot of kids do take that route, but with the opportunity to go play at Georgia, I don't think we can shy away from that unless the money's right for him to play at the next level. So really looking forward to baseball this year. You got Golden Isles baseball coming up. You'll be doing that package, and of course we're going to be doing all 30 games for Ware. Myself and Coach Conley, so we're really excited about that. Looking at the schedules now, trying to figure out what our road trips are going to be and that sort of thing, and getting everybody lined up for the season. But it's good that these rankings are coming out because, like you said, 30 days we're going to be on all field college baseball.
That's right, we are. I mean, it always starts right around Valentine's Day, and I think that is roughly the time frame for this season starting. And you mentioned the kid that plays for Wayne. I saw him hit one of those home runs at Adam Wainwright Field last year.
And nobody hits home runs.
Right, I was about to say it's a pitcher's park designed by Adam Wainwright. Imagine that. But no, just the setting there, you don't see a lot of home runs necessarily hit there, and he blasted one out of there over the left field wall. But also your kid at Ware County, the Hooks kid, is I think on the cover of Georgia Dugout Preview magazine, and we'll try to get our hands on that. And then he mentioned the University of Georgia, Leighton Finley, who plays for Richmond Hills, a pitcher, shortstop, I believe, for Richmond Hill. He signed with the University of Georgia as well, and he brings it to the plate pretty good. So a lot of good players in baseball, just like other sports here in Southeast Georgia. And once again, all these teams in the rankings, much like the wrestling, much like having a good football season, it's like it's going to be an exciting spring on the baseball diamond course here in Southeast Georgia.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting next year when Finley goes to Georgia. He's already got an older brother at Georgia Tech, so mom and dad will have to wear two different hats to check out that contest. But that'll be exciting to watch. But Kevin got a big Golden Owls basketball contest coming up right here in this auditorium that we're in right now. We're going to talk about that after the break. You guys stick around. We're going to pay some bills. We'll be right back here with On Air with 912 Sports.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin Price for 912 Sports, also the play-by-play voice of Golden Owls basketball. And I'm here on the Brunswick High campus, standing up top in the BHS gym. We're down there on that 4 below. Friday night, 2 big ball games taking place here in Region 2 6A between the hometown Brunswick High School teams and the visiting Statesboro teams. We will have both games on 912sports.net, our second broadcast of Golden Owls basketball. We started last Saturday over at Glenn Academy versus Wayne County. But the girls' game will be especially good. Brunswick High School 13-0, 4-0 in the region coming into the week, ranked number 3 in the state according to Max Preps. The Statesboro Blue Devils, Lady Blue Devils, 14-1 on the season, 5-0 in Region 2 6A, ranked number 6 in the state. And both of these teams also ranked according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution poll. Now the boys' game also features a always good BHS team in a little bit of a rebuilding mode this year, but they've won more than they lost. They're 8-4 overall, 2-2 in the region coming into the week. The Statesboro Blue Devils started the season 13-0, lost for the first time this past Saturday night, 49-47 against Benedictine after pulling out a 61-59 victory just the night before over Glenn Academy. Statesboro 5-0 in the region, ranked number 9 this week in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution poll, falling down a few notches after that loss to the Cadets. But I spent part of my day today also talking with BHS head girls coach Maria Mangrum about the matchup with the Lady Blue Devils coming up tomorrow night here at BHS. Here's what Coach Mangrum had to say about this highly anticipated showdown. All right, Maria, so I know you're getting ready for a big ball game Friday night against Statesboro. Both teams having real good seasons, both teams ranked in the state. But just tell me about your team so far. I know you're playing really well, so you probably have some things as a coach that you don't like, but overall, I would assume you're pleased with what you're seeing.
Absolutely, I have some things that I don't like. I'm just kidding. So overall, I am very excited for our season. We are undefeated so far, so you can't be upset about that. However, there are a lot of things that we need to work on as a team, and I just would like to see us be a little more consistent with just being us, if I can say that. I preach to our girls that, I want to see who you are each and every game. Like I shouldn't hit and miss on seeing you one game and not seeing you another. But defensively, we've been playing pretty well. We've been able to keep teams from scoring. We have to do a little better job of maintaining certain individuals. Like when we know who it is, sometimes we have a hard time with keeping that player under wraps. But overall, though, I think I'm excited for them. They're excited, and I'm happy for them.
Awesome. Now, Coach, you entered this week undefeated in the region. Statesboro has lost one game, but they're undefeated in the region. This is the only game I think that they play this week according to their max prep schedule. But I would assume y'all have had this game circled on the calendar, even though y'all have had to focus on several other games. But talk about this Statesboro matchup. I know they're always good, and just what you have to do to come out with a victory Friday night.
Definitely give props to Statesboro. They've always, even from when I played years past, coming through, they've always made a name for themselves. This one is going to be a little more, I guess, for us, we kind of have a chip on our back a little bit because they did beat us 3 times last year. One time just flat out beat us, and then the other 2 were a little more closer. But the one that really counted was for the region championship. And so we kind of have a bad taste in our mouths for that. They are undefeated in the region, and we are undefeated in the region. So I think it will be a good game. So I am definitely excited about coaching it. I'm excited for our girls. I'm excited for our program, our school. We're trying to get everybody to come to that game because it's going to be the one for all the marbles. And then not only being a region game, but we will definitely want to try to win it so we can host our region, because last year we had to go there. So we definitely would like to play on our own court this time.
All right, Coach. Well, that's awesome. We'll be here Friday night. I'm looking forward to it. That's why I put it on the schedule, because I control the schedule. But we'll see you Friday night, Coach.
Thank you.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
How about them dogs? Devin, we've only waited for 41 years, but the University of Georgia are football champions of the college football world. Great night last night in Indianapolis. One of those deals where, I really was, wondering if I wanted to go. But, man, about 11:30 last night, I sure wish I'd have been in Indianapolis in that Lucas Oil Dome, because I tell you what, if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, that is a memory that you'll have the rest of your days, because the Dogs came back from a deficit. Never was a huge deficit, but they were behind the chains and behind on the scoreboard all night long. Had a fantastic fourth quarter and come away with a victory there over the Alabama Crimson Tide, and just a fantastic night to be a Georgia Bulldog.
No question. And Sean, we could talk for days about this, and we probably will. This won't be the last time we talk about this on this show. But, that victory last night is going to mean a lot of things similar to a lot of us, but also everybody's going to enjoy this in their own special way, particularly if you are a true diehard Georgia Bulldog. And I remember certain things about 1980. Of course, I was 7 years old, and I ran down the street with one of my best friends from grade school, and we were shouting, "How about them dogs?" and maybe some OU Herschel Walker, even though it might not have been in those exact same terms, but we were barking like dogs, like 2 7-year-olds might. And right now they had this 10-year challenge going on in Facebook, so that kind of came to my mind last night. And I didn't run out of the house. I kind of strolled out the house and let down a deep breath, but kind of walked down the road a little bit and just kind of reminisced a little bit like that. Did this at 7, now doing it at 48. And I will remember that. And I don't remember a whole heck of a lot about how I felt after the loss just, several years ago to Alabama. But maybe I've chosen to forget exactly what I did after that game. But anyway, I will remember what I did last night, where I was, and all those kinds of things. And, special victory indeed.
Yeah, Kevin, it was really a microcosm of what Stetson Bennett's career has been. I mean, here he was, much maligned the first half. Georgia didn't score an offensive touchdown. They open up the third quarter with a couple of stalled drives, and then he has the big turnover down on the end, and Alabama punches in a score to go up again. But it almost is like that's where Stetson caught fire. Almost the whole Georgia team used that negative, turned it into a positive, and was able to just battle back and really take over the football game from that point forward. Now, Alabama did score because they got the ball on the 15-yard line on a couple of calls I think could have been made. But anyway, that's all water under the bridge. But they punched that ball in, took the lead back, and then all of a sudden it just like I said, it just caught fire, and Stetson just kind of took over. Had the drive. The defense was just shut down from that point on. So really, a microcosm of his whole existence of getting to Georgia.
Yeah, and of course, we're doing this segment largely because, yes, we are proud of the Georgia Bulldogs. We both went to school there, but the main idea behind this segment was to talk about our 912 area Bulldogs. Exactly. Stetson Bennett, of course, who played at Pierce County, and then Warren McClendon, who played at Brunswick, and Jack Podlesny, who played at Glenn. But we'll get to all that in a moment. But yeah, Sean, I mean, I think that game was a microcosm of Georgia football, with them winning a game maybe in the past where they could have lost it. The bottom could have fell out at various different times. It was a microcosm of Alabama football, with the exception of them actually winning a game where they get a break like that on the fumble exchange that we talked about with Stetson Bennett. And it was a microcosm of recent Georgia-Alabama football. Here we go again. Alabama gets this big break, and they're going to break our hearts again from right there on and actually win the game. But that was definitely, I think, Sean, a microcosm of Stetson Bennett for sure. And when the game started, I mean, the first play is terrible.
Yeah,
not totally his fault, but he gets sacked deep in the backfield. Then a couple of plays later, he runs for a good gain and loses the football, and luckily it pops right back up to him. But you're right, the first half was a kind of a comedy of errors. Georgia stayed behind the chains. They were getting pressure on Bennett. They were stopping the run. It really was not, great football, certainly not like the Michigan game.
Definitely.
But Georgia stayed its course offensively. Defensively, they kept holding Alabama to field goals primarily, and that was the key. And so right there at the end of the game, when Stetson trying to make a play, probably should have just accepted the sack, and we don't know if it's going to be an incomplete pass because his arm's going forward, if they are going to rule it a fumble. And then here's Alabama's guy who's nonchalant over there thinking it's a incomplete pass, but because it was a fumble and his foot was that close to the white line, but he was in. Yep. And here's Alabama. And, Sean, I mean, right after that, Georgia looks like they maybe are going to force a 3 and out. They have Alabama, I think, 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. And one of our guys roughs the passer. And all of a sudden they have a fresh set of downs. And I'm thinking right there, at the very least, maybe we can give up a field goal. And that might have happened. And then lo and behold, they score a touchdown with maybe some pass interference involved. The commentators, Herb Street and Fowler, mentioned it, but one mistake they made last night is I don't think they replayed that pass interference or possible pass interference like they should. But then you see Stetson Bennett over there sitting down but focused, and he said he wasn't going to be the reason that Georgia lost the game, and he ended up being a big reason why they won. A guy that I disagreed with about something last week said he thought that was all about Stetson Bennett being resilient, and that's a great way to describe it. The kid comes right back, sticks his nose in the dirt, so to speak, and goes right back and bam, 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 and throws a big touchdown pass to put Georgia back on top, and that's Stetson Bennett in a nutshell.
Exactly. And that play that he threw to AD, you and I talked about this off air, that was not a called play. That was a play that both he and AD recognized whenever they had that free play after Alabama jumped off sides. Bennett went to it. They made it happen. It was a great catch by AD, a great throw by Bennett, and it really changed the dynamics of the game, because I think it really it put Alabama on notice that we weren't going away, and even though they got that cheap touchdown, that we were still going to battle back and try to win this game, and that's exactly what the Dogs did, because once that play happened, it just seemed to take over the whole Georgia sideline. I mean, the defense played better. The offensive line played better. You were able to run the ball. Warren McClendon and his gang up on the front lines were pushing Bama back. And that was something we talked about, or my brother and I were watching the game together. We talked about all night. We really never got a push on the line of scrimmage until that final quarter. And of course, Kirby Smart alluded to it in post-game shows, and I'm not sure where the reference come from, but some people evidently made the comment that Georgia wasn't strong enough to win a game in the fourth quarter, or was, didn't have the stamina, to win a big game like that. But let me tell you something, that fourth quarter was owned by the Georgia Bulldogs on both sides of the ball.
And Sean, that's where, you win football games. A football game much like that, when somebody had to step forward, and the whole team had to step forward, and they got it done in crunch time. And yeah, that's something that, the announcers alluded to that we really didn't know much about going into that ball game. That was the first I heard of the Georgia defense, doing some extra conditioning and stuff, morning runs, or maybe it was late evening runs or whatever. But they did maybe give out a gas because they couldn't get off the field a lot of times against Alabama in that SEC championship game. And so third down and being able to get the stop and get off the field was critical, and they finally started doing that, more times than not as that game went on. And, then that offense, we mentioned Georgia football in a microcosm right there at the end. I mean, that smash mouth football. I mean, you're right. You could feel old Mo being on Georgia's side, and they were taking it to Alabama. And, that drive right there, they ate up, time, and then ended up, they also didn't take the air out of the ball, though. They tried to throw, a go route to Pickens, and Georgia got a pass interference call on that. And then that's a heck of a play call, right there on the touchdown to Bowers. But again, you could kind of see it. The lineman's going up, and you're wondering if it's going to get tipped or intercepted. But this time, Stetson Bennett gets it over that guy. And, of course, he's throwing to his favorite target, Bowers, who he had a full head of steam, Sean. And if anybody would have really had a good beat on him to try to tackle him, I don't know that they would have. That guy's a hoss. But I tell you what, Sean, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, it was smash mouth football in a lot of ways. And I tell you what, Alabama, there's our defense brings the funk when they hit people. Oh, and how many times did you see Georgia defenders bouncing off those guys, or is man on man? And on another team, you might see, somebody get a 3-yard gain. Well, against Alabama, it's 6 or 7. Yeah. And then the next time, whether it be in, 3rd and 5 or 6, it's 3rd and 2 because of the extra yardage they get either running the football or yards after a catch. But Georgia's one of the more physical teams in the country, and I think that's why they are able to go toe-to-toe with Alabama. And that game, a lot of it came down to the battle in the line of scrimmage, and that's where our guy Warren McClendon from Brunswick High School was. And it's hard to really put his stats into perspective, but I know there were a couple of times I saw him make some critical blocks, including one for, I think, the spring Zeus, Amir White, free on a run as well.
Yeah, and then, of course, you get back to the first half of this game, it was all field goals, Kevin. I mean, I don't know what the betting line in Vegas was. I think it was 52.5, which we didn't get to. But, I mean, this game at halftime was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 6-9. With I guess that's five field goals, no offensive touchdowns in a game where Alabama had put up 40 in the SEC championship. I mean, my God, they scored more points in the second quarter in the SEC championship against Georgia than they did the whole game, last night in the national championship game. So a really good defensive battle, and like I said, a great job by Podlesny for keeping pace with Alabama's field goal kicker. I mean, I know we didn't have the lead going into halftime, but you needed those 6 points to put yourself into a situation where you were still in the game.
Yeah, and they talk about just doing your job, and in terms of that, Jack Podlesny, who played at Glenn, Georgia's kicker, did his job as well. I mean, he was 2 for 2 on field goals and a long of 49, and he ended up making all of his extra points, and that field goal. 49 yards was his season high, And then, of course, his career high or his career best is the 53-yarder last year in the Peach Bowl to beat Cincinnati. But in terms of doing your job, Jack Podlesny came in when called upon and did his job as well. And, again, he factored into the situation, like you say, kind of helping Georgia keep the pace, put points on the board, and then making the critical PATs in a game that was tight and close, where something as simple as a missed PAT could have made the difference.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, after 41 years, the Georgia Bulldogs are national champions, and the great thing about it is we had 3 912 guys that were heavy contributors to making that happen. So congratulations to all the Georgia Bulldogs, but congratulations to Stetson Bennett, Warren McClendon, and Jack Podlesny. Like you said, Kevin, doing their job and making it, making this thing happen and coming home with the victory.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, Sean. I mean, we're both Georgia Bulldogs through and through, but it's awesome, to see kids from South Georgia doing it. A lot of people said it made it sweeter that we beat Alabama, but for me and you and maybe for some other people around this area that certainly have been affiliated with those kids, to see those kids shine on the big stage like that and be a part of this overall national championship win by the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, Stetson Bennett is going to certainly get a lot of the publicity and very well deserved with his whole story. We've talked about it. And then, of course, getting the job done here, fulfilling a lifelong dream as a little kid who wanted to be the quarterback at the University of Georgia. But then guys like Warren McClendon, strong bloodlines at UGA. His uncle, Willie McClendon, of course, played on the south side of Brunswick at Glenn Academy. Warren McClendon played his high school football on the north side of Brunswick at Brunswick High School, but that's a Bulldog family, and he chose to go to Georgia when there was a little bit of an urge or possibly to go to South Carolina, where his cousin Brian McClendon was at the time, which of course is Willie's son, but Brian played for the Georgia Bulldogs as well. And then Jack Podlesny, hey, he was a walk-on as well, Sean, but he doesn't get the critique or the criticism that Stetson Bennett does. But here's a guy who also, like Bennett, earned a job just kind of in a different way. And it's just awesome to know these kids and to see them be a part of that as a South Georgia Bulldog. And I'm so happy for not only the Georgia Bulldogs and Bulldog Nation, but those kids and their families as well.
Exactly. Well, the curse is lifted. The mojo's broken. I mean, whatever you want to, whatever moniker you want to put on it. But the Georgia Bulldogs are national champions for the 2021 football season, and I couldn't be more proud of these guys. Couldn't be more proud of Kirby and his whole staff and what they brought to Georgia. And the great thing about it is, Kevin, and of course, you never want to say, you don't want to count your chickens before you hatch, but you're in a great position to continue this trend because recruiting is rolling. You got great kids coming back. You've got a program in place. You got great facilities. You got people that are, willing to give their money to the program. So the future's bright if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan for sure.
Yeah, for sure, Sean. And I'm just going to say it like this. It's a great time to be a Georgia Bulldog. We'll talk about the future later. How about
that? Exactly. Well, I appreciate everybody watching On Air with 912 Sports. We'll be right back.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
All right, Coach Pender, thanks for your time. Obviously, we want to talk about the 912 area Bulldogs, which of course includes Stetson Bennett, who you coached at Pierce County, also Warren McClendon, who played here, and then of course Jack Lesney did play at Glen Academy. But Coach, first question for you, a simple one. How about them Dogs?
How about them Dogs, man? I'm so excited for our young men and the program. I just, 41 years? 41 years, and they finally got to be able to bring that natty home, and to have, Warren McClendon be a big part of that, and of course Stetson Bennett being a big part of that, being offensive MVP. I mean, just so proud, so proud.
Hey, Coach, I'll make the next question simple too, and we'll talk about those guys, but how about Stetson Bennett?
Yeah, the mailman delivered, didn't he?
He sure did.
Yeah, he lived up to his name, that's for sure.
Well, Coach, obviously, I guess you are from Florida, but I know you like Georgia, and obviously you coached Stetson Bennett in high school, and just talk about how we're all proud that the Bulldogs won, but I've already talked about this today too. It's for some people it was sweet because it was Alabama. For those of us here in Southeast Georgia, it's sweet because some of our very own were part of it, but obviously you have a very close relationship with Stetson, also Warren, we'll talk about here in a minute. But watching all that last night, you've already talked about his emotion, where you just saw the raw emotion come out. What raw emotion came out in Sean Pender to see that moment?
Well, you can't help but tear up. I mean, when you know this man's story and you know all the stuff that this young man's done and how he's done it with such high character and praise, and he never gave up, and he always had belief in himself, and he always knew he was capable of all these people putting all this white noise out there, how he's able to block it out, focus, channel out the people that don't know what they're talking about, and just focus on what he knew that he was capable of doing, and the faith that he has had in his coaches, the faith that he has in his teammates and his players, the love he has for what he's doing, the passion he has. It was all there, and all those emotions just came out for, when they were able to seal it up, when Georgia intercepted that football and that camera panned over to Stetson Bennett and you saw that raw emotion on his face. I felt all those feels, just knowing what that young man has wanted, knowing what he just endured, all that on his back, on his shoulders. It just went away, and it all went away, and he was just able to just be relieved, and he was able to not just make his dream come true, but make so many people's dream come through throughout the state.
And Coach, I mean, just to borrow a cliche, I mean, this was stuff made for Hollywood. We can't get into Stetson's whole story here. We talked about it last week on the show, but people can also research it. But Coach, I mean, it starts off with a kid who dreamed about being the quarterback for the University of Georgia. A lot of kids don't get to live that dream. He did. And obviously he went there as a walk-on first, and it goes from there. But you were around when he made that decision to walk on at the University of Georgia to get this all started, and to actually see him live that dream. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. There is a movie. A movie will be made. Matter of fact, I was just talking to one of the news anchors in Jacksonville, and saying this is the America's Underdog Part 2. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, Stetson Bennett's story is incredible. The hope that he's going to be bringing to so many young guys that are out there that are going to be able to say, you know what, I might be faced with this adversity. All these people might be telling me I can't do this, but you know what? If I believe and I stay the course and I keep pushing and I put enough hard work in and I keep going, avoid the naysayers, the dream is a goal, and I'll have a chance to make it.
And Coach, just a couple more questions, but in terms of Stetson, I mean, that little exchange in the fourth quarter where he supposedly fumbles the ball, Alabama gets a touchdown, and then he comes right back and leads Georgia on a touchdown drive, throwing the long pass for the score, and then he also helps put the game away with a touchdown pass when Georgia was playing smash mouth football. But is that Stetson Bennett in a microcosm?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what I loved was his comments after that happened. I mean, obviously when he rolled down, he tried to make a play, tried to get rid of the football, and then it was, ended up being a fumble, and bad things happened, and he felt that weight, he felt that on him, and then Stetson's love, that passion, that the fact that he prepared. There was no way that he was going to let that be the legacy right there at the end that people remembered. And he went out that very next drive, and the coaching staff, the play calling, really to have the put the ball in his hands, and that just shows you how much everyone believes in him and how he believes in himself. And he was able to take the team down in dramatic fashion and just punch it in on Georgia.
And Coach, a serious, you're good. And Coach, a serious question about him. You saw all the tangibles as his head coach, his offensive coordinator, his quarterback coach. You saw the intangibles that a lot of people are seeing at the University of Georgia. But looking at Stetson as a person, also as a quarterback, as someone who knew him, of course, in high school and coached him, what have you been most impressed with about his development? Because clearly he got better even between last year and this year.
He always gets better. I mean, he always, to, I guess, the media aspect of it, it looked like he got a lot better. And he did. He improved. But that's Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett is going to even get better next year, whatever it is he's doing. If he's continuing playing this game, he's going to improve and go to a whole nother level. If he's not playing this game, whatever he does with his life, he's going to take that and bring it to a whole nother level. That is the thing that I've always known about the young man. You watched him when he was doing it when he was a child, and then when he got to high school, his development, he got better and better every single year. So it's just that natural progression when the man works as hard as he works, when he's dedicated the way he's dedicated, he has passion that is unmatched. He is very highly intelligent. When you put all that together, you can't help but always improve.
That's awesome, Coach. And of course, Warren McClendon played here at Brunswick High School. He was here when you got here. You were able to coach him, see him sign with the University of Georgia. Obviously, the McClendon bloodlines run deep up there at UGA. His uncle, Willie McClendon, played for the Georgia Bulldogs. Of course, he played crosstown at Glenn on the south side of town, and Warren played over here at Brunswick on the north side of town. Obviously, Willie's son, who Brian McClendon also played for the University of Georgia, tried to get Warren to go to South Carolina when he was coaching at South Carolina. But Coach, you've once called Warren McClendon the best offensive lineman you've ever coached. Obviously, he's fundamentally sound, savvy, football smart, great kid. But he's another Bulldog that you have coached, and just talk about him and his development, because obviously he was a huge part of that offensive front.
Oh, absolutely. And I always see Warren, and every time you see him, when you speak to him in your presence, when a kid has an it factor, Warren McClendon has that it factor. You're talking about the complete person. He has unreal character. He has that leadership ability. He's a quiet leader. He leads by example, but when he speaks, people listen. And that's Warren McClendon. He just has that. He has a presence about him. He has all the measurables. He has all the intangibles. He's the complete person. You watch him, how fundamentally sound he is in the game. And then it's not just one-dimensional with him. It's not just the fact that he's a good at run blocking or pass blocking and doing all the right things and just making things work on the field. He does all that stuff off the field as well. If you ever watch his behavior in a classroom, how he does in a meeting room, how he carries his life when he's out in public, when he preaches and talks to kids, when he's giving back to his community. That's Warren McClendon, and that's why I look at him, and the word just professionalism is what I see about him. He's just a young man that has a great upbringing. He has you mentioned his bloodline, and also a thing about Brian. When he was the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, of course Warren was torn a little bit, but one thing you got to give to Brian is he told Warren, go where your heart's at. Don't just sit there and base it on where I'm at or where any coaches are, but where is your heart? Where do you truly want to be be, because you're the one living that dream, and you're the one that is going to be in the situation. And that's when Warren decided to go with Georgia, because that was his passion, his dream, also to be a Georgia Bulldog.
No question. And Coach, we see that Brunswick B on your shirt. We see that Michael Jordan Nike logo. But you got a little sweatshirt over here that I think you wanted to have some fun with.
That's right. For the first time, I'm going to actually have a G up in the Brunswick field house right here. But this G's for Georgia, so I'm very proud of it. It's a jersey, something I got back from one of my other former players, Quavon Hicks. He gave it to me a long time ago when he used to play for the University of Georgia. And yeah, this is my sweatshirt today. It's kind of cold outside, so I get to wear it, and I'm wearing it with a lot of pride today.
Well, Coach, get Stet or Warren or both to give you something with 2022 or 2021 national champions on it. How about that?
Oh yeah, that would be great. I got an actual picture that's going to be autographed by both of those guys. And no, it is not for sale.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.